Hi there, beautiful soul, and thanks for tuning in to this podcast. This podcast is about leaving the old paradigm, the old life, the old world, the world that is maybe the root cause behind disease or illness, and trying to make the leap forward into a new life, something different, something else, something that is more whole, more healing, but more fulfilling as well. How does that life look like? And is there really such a life that brings health with it? Is there really a jump that we can make? And is health maybe just a logical consequence from that? Before we continue, check in if you're agitated. Because if you use this podcast as a distraction to maybe fill up your mind, a restless mind, a stressed mind, a stressed body, then maybe this moment is not the right moment to listen to this. You can come back to it later. And for everyone else, just like always, center yourself, feel where you are, feel your breath, feel your clothes, arrive where you are in the present moment, in your body, in the location where you are. Take a deep breath. And let it all go. Let all the tension go from the shoulders, the mouth, the jaw, the tongue, face muscles, the arms, and just relax. One of the reasons that I like making podcasts is that people can relax themselves while they're listening to it. And I can tell you much more. I can tell you a story and bring you into an adventure. And that is exactly what this podcast is also about. It's an adventure, and it's there to see if we can do something with your imagination about what life can actually look like, what is actually possible, and maybe that life that is possible is the healing life. I've talked about it as well in a YouTube video. The living the life that is your purpose is probably the most healing thing of all. And chronically doing what you don't want to do is probably making us ill. And we can look at the old life as an old paradigm, a paradigm in which we functioned, we managed to live. But the paradigm is crumbling down. The old world, we can no longer keep up with it. We are no longer able to meet the standards of the old life. Maybe due to fatigue, or maybe we just hate doing all those things. But the most common thing is that people just can't meet up with the standards. Maybe it is your own standards, or it is society standards. But I see society as a paradigm, living something that is almost ancient, although it is still there. But we can all see that it is crumbling down, just like we are crumbling down by diseases. If you look at society nowadays, you see lockdowns, police violence, protests, rising prices, inflation, food shortages, gas shortages, wars. And I think these are all signals that the old paradigm, the way that we used to live life, is no longer working out anymore. We can no longer meet those standards. And for people who are ill, this is nothing new. This is the exact same thing. But for most other people who are not having a physical illness, they are being shocked. Somehow life doesn't function anymore. Somehow they need to change and adapt. But adapt into what? What does your imagination tell you? What is possible? What new paradigm can you create? How does the new world look like? And this is about a leap of faith. And when Columbus was trying to convince people that maybe there is land in the West over the Atlantic Ocean, I think the current paradigm was telling him that it was unable, or maybe there were many others before him who wanted to have an adventure and see what was west. What new world could lay there and wait for us? And he's probably been diminished. Science told him, or religion told him, that there was nothing out there. Yet he went anyway. Nobody believed him, but what he found was a new continent, a new world. Now, this new world doesn't have to be new land that we are trying to create, but this new world can rise within the old world, as the old world is crumbling down, not only for people who are ill, but for everyone else as well. And the people that went to this new world, the world that they later called America, they were called pioneers because they were the first ones out there, and it was hard. And if you look at plants, if there is an empty soil somewhere, nothing grows there. The first species of plants that grow there are called pioneers as well. You can say they have to be very robust. They have to grow very fast. And they have to prepare the soil for the plants. Maybe later, after a few weeks, a tree can grow. The soil is ripe for more vegetation. And I think that we have to be those pioneers. We have to be the weeds. And people might judge you and tell you, you are a weed. You can't do this. Just like people thought there was no continent in the West. Nothing besides sea or maybe a wall of ice. So this leap that Columbus took, you can compare it with a big jump, a big leap of faith. Imagine you're at the Grand Canyon. There are two mountains and you have to jump over the canyon. But the old world, the old mountain is making you sick. You're unable to live there. Maybe your friends are still there and they are okay, but you just can't do it. You can't keep up with it. You have to make the jump. And the illness is pushing you more and more towards the canyon. And you fall into the canyon every time you try to make a little jump. Maybe you can have both worlds. But every time you fall into back into old behavior, you fall down and you have a crash. You crash in the canyon. And it takes a few days for you to stand up the old mountain again and try if you can make another jump. And maybe one time you did make the jump and you are on the other mountain. But the things that you try to do at the other mountains, they're not part of the new world. So it pushes you off it. And then you got to crash again. You're down. You have to, again, jump, make the jump or climb upwards. And this old behavior is usually trying to force something on the world. Trying to make something happen. I think that's the old paradigm. Push yourself. Be hard. Fake positivity. Fake gratefulness. Pretend that you're someone. Maybe it's materialism. Maybe it's an income. Maybe it is trying to be someone that you're not. A lot of people that I talk with in coaching, they have a PhD. They went up the ladder, the university schooling ladder, and they went up almost as high as possible, only to find out that they really hate it. And they used pushing themselves, extreme focus, to be able to meet those standards. And maybe that desire of being someone comes as well from the underlying belief that you're nothing. But on the other side of the canyon, it is okay to be nothing. Everybody there is nothing, no one. They're just themselves. They don't have to do anything. Life comes to them. Is something like that really possible? Can life really be that simple? Can life really be just a flow where you don't have to work hard? Can you imagine this? So it is either force or power. The power from letting life happen to you. And there is a book about that called Power versus Force from David R. Hawkins. And it's quite a spiritual book, and you might think that power is something enlightened, that only enlightened souls like a Buddha can get to. And I was thinking that at the time that I read it. And I think that I was interested in enlightenment at the time. But what I didn't realize at the time is that the book is actually a practical book of getting into the flow, getting into the new paradigm, because the old paradigm doesn't work any longer. And forcing is then a negative energy. It is denying what you are, denying emotions, and forcing your will upon life. And it worked. It worked for a while. It worked maybe for hundreds of years, but for us brave new pioneers, we know it doesn't work anymore. We have to change. We have to get more in contact with power instead of with force. But what is power? Where does it come from? And how does it work? And you can look at it as well as a scene from The Matrix, where Neo tried to make the jump from one building to the other. Morpheus told him, free your mind. Get rid of fear, doubt, and disbelief. And he tried to make the jump the first time, but he didn't make it. He crashed. And in the real world, he was even having blood. So he crashed, and he couldn't make it. So maybe The Matrix is not just an action movie, and maybe it is more like how Keanu Reeves explained it himself. It is a documentary with lots and lots of deeper meanings. And although he couldn't make the jump at first, by the end of the movie, he's flying. Whereas in the beginning, he did not even believe that he could make a big jump. So maybe we can see fatigue as a gift to prepare you for the big jump, forcing you to stop living a life from force. And what does that mean? How does that look like? In Germany they say, in die Ruhe liegt die Kraft, which means in the peace is the power. So if this is the power and it's coming from the peace, then what is peace? How can we do it? How do we know peace at all? Most people that I speak with, that I coach with, they have a very disturbed mind. They would like to have a calm mind. And how do you do that? How do you trust Mother Earth? Is it really possible that we are being carried and cared for all the time? What do you think about this idea? Do you really have to work hard? Or can life be simple? And I talked about it as well in a YouTube movie called Before You Start Your Detox, about cleaning the 4 bodies that we have. The physical body, of course, but more important, the spiritual body, the emotional body, and the mental body. And as lots of people that I talk with talk about it, when you empty the mental body and the emotional body, for example, you feel that somehow the energy starts flowing. Sometimes I hear people saying that the energy was there all along, although I was so extremely tired, but there was just a blockage inside of me. And I think that very often this blockage has an emotional or a mental cause, or maybe even a spiritual. And that the physical world, I think, is just a representation of our inner world. And if our inner world is full and cluttered and lots of junk, then we can expect the physical world to be that as well. Full and cluttering, lots of objects. But we all know that everything that you own owns you in the end. And if you want a big house, you have to work for it hardly, so that you're able to be in it. But working hard for it means most of the time that you're hardly in it. So that is sort of a paradox as well. Cleaning the four bodies, cleaning the physical world, emptying everything. No errands, no to-do lists, lightness, simplicity. And if you have a full mind and a full emotional body, you won't even like this. It is something that happens to you. Somehow you somehow feel that you can no longer be with the old paradigm. You don't want to clutter anything in your life anymore. And at that moment, when life really is no effort and everything comes to you, maybe that is what freedom is. And maybe that is the world, the new world on the other side of the canyon. And I'm very blessed and lucky to have met people who are living like that. And that doesn't mean that it's always easy, because when the emotional body is still not completely emptied, and sometimes stuff comes up, and sometimes it's an ever-going process, then you will be triggered. Stuff will come to you, as I believe that life is a self-cleaning thing. It's like an automatic thing, and we don't really have to do that much. So as long as there is stuck in old beliefs and emotions, life comes to you to challenge those things, to maybe release the emotion, to give you the exact same situation that caused the emotion in the first place, or maybe to challenge you in your belief systems. But it is hard to see that when you look at life through a filter of the mind, through the old belief systems from the old paradigm. So I met two beautiful people called Andy and Katrina, and they lived in nature. They built a yurt, relying completely on nature, to what comes to them, and their motto is, everything what I need is already there. And they don't have running water. Well, there is a sort of a water source. There is no electricity, but they thrive. And life comes to them, and of course there are still challenges sometimes. But there are also other people who have no money, a young family for example, but somehow life comes to them, and somehow they are managed to, well, more than survive, let's say it like that. I don't want to call it thriving yet, because these are the pioneers. And being a pioneer is not easy. You will be judged by many people. But I think this is where we need to go after chronic fatigue syndrome, for example, or after any other disease that is maybe just a signal, just a gift from life to push you to make a big leap. And if this perspective is really new for you, then surround yourself with other perspectives about living this way, and letting your mind know that it is actually possible to have trust and faith and life in the universe. And if the universe comes from a single point, a singularity, and everything comes from that, then it means that you are the universe. So why would you have to be in a difficult situation? And I think lots of people have said this before. You are the universe, and you are here to experience what you really are. We are all one. But if we keep living in the old paradigm where we think that we are separate, we're not really fulfilling the purpose of the universe and experiencing itself. But if we can let go and trust and have faith, then we can really see the magic of everything. And the more examples I see in my life, the more I actually believe in it. And I believe that it is possible for anyone. But most people, of course, they don't feel the trust. They don't feel the faith. Because their body is full of fear that needs to be released, but also acknowledged. Yes, there is a fearful child in me. There is a fearful young boy in me personally. And every once in a while it comes up. And I need to nurture it as if it is my own son, but it is my old inner child. And trust comes from feeling fear, because there are two things, there are two sides of the same coin. But if you have experienced both of them, you can eventually drop the coin and be in a place of knowing that life nurtures you, knowing that you have been nurtured for all along, and knowing that the illness is a gift. But very few people are able to acknowledge this, because it just doesn't fit with the old paradigm where you are a victim. And if life comes to you in lightness, as a river of flow, where you don't have to do anything except for who you really are and do what you really like, then you can be yourself. And you don't have to do anything with effort. And that is why you are here. That is your purpose. It is so simple, but our minds cannot comprehend it. And what I notice as well is that if we participate in this journey, we are moving out of the rooms and the four walls that we are living in, with all the radiation and the Wi-Fi and everything. And you connect again with Mother Earth, and she gives you energy. Being outside, being grounded, gives you energy. It gives you strength. And we become something different. And although life is harder in nature, you also get more energy for it as a reward. And life will be more fulfilling. And we all have this image of that life in nature is hard, because we imagine the farmer that is on his own trying to feed the entire village. But I don't expect you to feed the entire village. I expect you to feed yourself. And I think that everything comes to you. And if you look at nature, you can see abundance. If you have an apple tree, you know exactly what I talk about. Or a lemon tree. There's not just one apple there. And if you grow your vegetables, then everything can happen somehow, or it will come to you differently. And living a life without the modern world, or maybe with it, maybe in a combination, maybe it can be both. But I'm having no Wi-Fi for the past 2 months. And although sometimes it's difficult to work, I'm actually feeling that I don't want to have Wi-Fi ever again. I don't want to have running water ever again. I just want to have pure water from a well. And maybe I can make my own electricity if I need some. But the more I declutter myself, my soul, my emotional body, my mind, my physical body, the less input I need from outside of myself. I stop watching movies, stop listening to music. I like music, but not the one recorded somewhere else. I like live music more. And I don't need to watch all these distractions that people do when they watch the television. And I don't think that I'm all the way there, of course, because this is for me as well a journey. I'm a pioneer as well. What is on there? What is on the other land? What is the new world all about? And it's an adventure. And sometimes I notice, wow, I'm not using any of those things again. Or wow, I want to eat different foods. Sometimes when I eat the old foods of the old paradigm, I feel so heavy, bloated. I can't eat it anymore. So it's a completely new world, and it's a discovery. It's an adventure. And that is what I think what recovery is all about. Some people, they tell you or me or blame other people, and they tell you that recovery is not possible because science, the old paradigm, hasn't accepted this new fact yet. And because they trust more people who have a PhD, to tell you that this is not possible than people who actually did it. People who are on the other side try to reach out for a hand. Hey, come over. It's really nice here. To prepare the soil, who are preparing the soil for you. Yes, if you don't want to believe those people because you think they are weeds, you think they don't belong in your world, then of course you don't believe that recovery is possible. But what is recovery even? Because I think that whenever I engage with the old paradigm, I can expect symptoms. So then people tell me, then it's just then it's a remission. You're in remission. I don't believe that. I think that is as well. It is a refusal to look at the truth, a refusal to look at the difficulties in your life, and a refusal to take responsibility, and a refusal to take actions. And yes, there are programs out there that may be not working for you. Maybe they were like a partial truth to someone, or the full truth for someone else, and that is what they offer. Well, you can try it, and if it's not working for you, you can try something else. But don't give up. Or maybe give up, but give up on the old paradigm to get ready for the new world. I wish you all a very beautiful and a calm day with lots of peace, because, as the Germans say, in die Ruhe liegt die Kraft. In the peace lies the power. Bye.